What's up, you plebs? Here, YourTotalWarMaster, and today we are going to have a special discussion about the new Total War game, Warhammer 3, that has just been announced. I am not alone. Today with me is JustShortOfXP. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Happy to be here. I am much more of a recent addition to the YouTube family, so to speak. I do first impressions, discussion videos, anything video game related, really, if I feel like talking about it. And I also want to serve people in recommending good games that perhaps they haven't heard of, or have heard of, but haven't played yet, and should. As well as, of course, help them navigate around those games that should be avoided, like The Plague. So if you enjoyed this video or me, I'd be happy if you stopped by and gave my channel a go, of course. So, Warhammer 3, how do you feel about the reveal? Are you excited? What do you expect from the game? If anything, how much have you played Warhammer 2? Tell us a bit about your Warhammer history in general, because I myself haven't played too much of the game. There was that one promotion on Steam when the game was free for one day, and I played for about 6 or 7 hours. So tell us, how do you feel about the reveal?
I must say that even though I have not also played a lot of Warhammer, I am fairly excited about the Warhammer 3 announcement because it looks good. I like the factions that they're introducing as well. I have played only historical Total War games until like a month ago. Then I got I got gifted the Warhammer games from my friend, and I tried playing it, and it was actually surprisingly well. I was like, I never felt I would enjoy the Warhammer games because it was always like a strict historical player. But to be honest, I have been pleasantly surprised with how well the games are. And it kind of, made me feel that actually, you know what, I do want to try Warhammer 3 when it comes out. So I must say that I'm more excited than I was expecting to be.
Right. Well, we spoke yesterday a little bit, and I told you that I am not excited at all, to be honest, but because I never really got into Warhammer games at all myself. I don't really understand, and maybe someone can explain it to me in the comments. I don't understand why this warrants 3 games. So when Warhammer 1 was released, I thought to myself, well, that's fine. Because I do have, of course, we all have a wish list for our Total War games that we want to see, and mine definitely didn't include a fantasy setting. I'm not a fantasy guy in general. I'm much more of a down-to-earth person, so I do appreciate the historical setting. Again, we spoke yesterday. I told you that I do enjoy that historical element. I do want to control a real empire with real people. Well, I mean, real people as much as possible. So for me, when Warhammer 1 was announced, I thought to myself, well, okay, people can have their fun, and then we can get back to historical Total War games. And then it turned out that people like me will be put on the second rail instead. Because then I found out, of course, that it's going to be a trilogy, and, well, why? I still don't understand it to this day. Okay, so if Warhammer 3 is going to be the most expansive game of the Warhammer series, which it most definitely is. I mean, it introduces the Chaos Realm, it introduces new races, the map is going to be bigger for sure. But my question is, and this is a question to Creative Assembly, why haven't you just done that to begin with? Why haven't so? I'm sure you had the plan. I'm sure you had everything planned out. I'm sure you knew that, because businesses don't work. No one at Creative Assembly just woke up one day and thought to themselves, "All right, let's do Warhammer 3 now." No, they've known it for a very long time, for sure. So why haven't you just made one game? I mean, something that comes to my mind immediately is I'm thinking, well, they thought about profit, but. I don't really... Is it really that big of a difference? Do you really make that much more money when it comes to Warhammer franchise than you did on your historical Total War games? Because I really do feel like they concentrated on fantasy so much that I'm a little bit scared that if it does make such a huge difference to their budgeting, to their revenue, then surely they will just stick to fantasy as the primary game for the rest of days, and then historical Total War games will just continue to be these saga titles that, well, let's just say their reputation isn't exactly good. We'll talk about that a little bit later today as well, but I'm a little bit worried when it comes to that, because I don't want Total War to become primarily fantasy, and then the secondary focus will be historical games. I don't want that. I'm still the person who is eagerly waiting for Creative Assembly to announce a Bronze Age Total War set in the Middle East. I mean, I want to play as Elam or Babylon, one of those city-states, Uruk. I really love to do that, but maybe maybe that will never happen. But so I'm a little bit worried about that. I still don't understand why this warranted 3 games, and I know there are plenty of people out there who absolutely love the living hell out of the games. I'm just not one of them. So unfortunately, I had that feeling. I tried, as I said already, I tried Warhammer for 5 to 6 hours, Warhammer 2 that was, and I just wasn't able to get into it. Now, some people say that it takes a lot of time to get into and that you need to give it more time, which is great, but I'm still waiting for my Bronze Age Total War, so there you go. I mean, I don't know, do you feel similarly? Are you a bit worried about fantasy becoming the main focus? Because if they're focusing on it so much, there must be a good reason. So are you worried about that at all?
I think at the end of the day, it's all about sales, right?
Yeah.
They don't care about Mr. X if Mr. Y and Z. I mean, if you have 3 people, right? Let's say person A, person B, and person C. If person A liked only historical ones and person B and C like the fantasy ones, of course they will try to focus on fantasy ones because it just sells more copies. And that's, you have to understand that even though we kind of maybe want to think about that companies care about consumers on a personal level, I don't think they do, right? They only care how many things they will sell. Thinking about that is what will be the indicator. Like, I think the next historical Total War is going to be a make it or break it. If it's another disaster like Thrones of Britannia, I think we can pretty much say mostly goodbye to historical Total Wars. I mean, maybe not 100%, but at least making them the staple of the series, because if it sells poorly and if it gets bad reviews, and Warhammer 3 then gets amazing reviews and lots of sales, of course they will try to focus on fantasy more, I think, which for me, who also prefers historical ones, is kind of sad, but I do still understand why they would do that.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. I mean, exactly as you said, if 2 out of 3 want a historical Total War, and that's $120 versus $60. So yeah, I fully understand that. And again, I do understand that it brought so many new people to the Total War franchise as well. So, well, whoever makes those decisions, I'm sure they got promoted. I'm very happy for them. It's just that me, I'm not enjoying it as much. But again, all the people that do, I'm very happy for them. I'm always glad that people enjoy something I don't. I'm always quite envious, actually. Whatever game it is, not just Total War, if someone enjoys a game that I cannot enjoy. I recently made a video about Skyrim and how I cannot enjoy it anymore, and then I got comments, people saying, well, I still enjoy it, which, alright, that's great, I'm very happy for you, but that doesn't help me. So, same way I would feel about Total War, that I'm really glad that people enjoy it and are very excited about it. I mean, the trailer reactions are all over the place. People talk about it, kiss left, that word is all over the internet now. Of course, one of the new playable races, I think there's going to be 4, if I'm not mistaken, which again is great. I mentioned already it's going to add the Chaos Realm, so you will be able to invade that, which again is amazing, which again only if you actually care about any of this. Me, I'm sitting here sucking my thumb thinking, well, Troy was a bit of a disaster. This is probably, if they want to do that, for me, if they want to concentrate on fantasy and then do historical on the sides, then I suppose these games are no longer for me. Because if you're going to concentrate so much on fantasy, but then the historical ones are just going to be rubbish, then, well, I have a choice. I can either force myself to like Warhammer or whatever next fantasy game they release, or I can just suck it up and play Medieval 2 for the rest of my life. So, let's see what happens, of course. But let's get back to the meat of the topic. New features, I already mentioned some. Is there any particular new feature that you personally are excited about?
I mean, about the features, I wouldn't call it revolutionary at any sort, because it's like, I always feel like it's like just another expansion to the Warhammer 1, which I feel like Warhammer 2 and Warhammer 3 are good expansion. I mean, I don't know about Warhammer 3, but Warhammer 2 is a good expansion. I'm not saying it's bad in any way, but it's not like really revolutionizing the kind of I would say gameplay too much. Of course, we have new factions, but otherwise, I mean, I wouldn't say it's too exciting. It's mostly just because of the kind of storyline and I guess new factions and stuff like that. I feel like this is more like maybe if you remember Kingdoms from Medieval 2,
yes.
They do bring new mechanics. For example, in Medieval 2, you have like in Crusades, you have forts that are much more expensive, but also much better to defend. And, it's a small difference, but I feel like it more as an expansion and not a separate game. Same goes for Warhammer 3. I feel like as you said before, I remember you said, why not make Warhammer 1 and then that's it? Of course, I think the main reason is money. Because if you it's a question for you. Do you feel like Warhammer 3 is a standalone game to Warhammer 1 as much as Medieval 2 was to Medieval 1?
No, of course not. I don't think they actually even try to pretend it is. I think they're very open about the fact that, Warhammer 1, the first game, is a video game. That's a standalone video game. Warhammer 2 and now Warhammer 3 are expansions. That's what it is. And I mean, if you look at even what Creative Assembly said, or I think this was Sega, the publisher, players will wage war with the most diverse array of legendary heroes. I mean, they're not pretending that this is a standalone game, and I'm surprised that people are okay with that. And this is what I said in the very beginning, that why does this warrant 3 games? Why have you not made, as you also mentioned, why have you not just made Warhammer 1? Now, if you want to do expansions to that afterwards, Creative Assembly has loads and loads of experience with selling DLC, does it not? I mean, we have to pay for blood. So you have a lot of experience with selling DLC. So why don't you just make all this the waging war with the most diverse array of legendary heroes? Why don't you just make those legendary heroes, the new ones in Warhammer 3, downloadable content for Warhammer 1? I mean, you are very good, very competent at selling culture packs for Total War Attila and Total War Rome 2. You did that, so why haven't you done it for the new game? Is it maybe because you want extra $60?
I mean, when you said that they're not giving extra culture packs, they are, but they're also combining it with the new game, which is a culture pack. So they're doing both. Not only because if I understand correctly, first you get Warhammer 1, and then you have to buy DLC for Warhammer 1. And then you buy Warhammer 2, which technically is a DLC, but you have to buy it as a whole new game and then buy DLC for culture packs for that. And I'm 99% sure that we'll buy Warhammer 3, which again is kind of a DLC, and then you will have to also buy DLC, which is just twice the money, I guess. Yeah, exactly. Because when you said they're not pretending it's a DLC or an expansion, better to say. Everything, I mean, they might not be pretending, but their price is pretending that it's because it's a standalone game price when they're not pretending that it's not a DLC or expansion.
That is very true. Yeah, they're not pretending. They seem to be quite, well, maybe not open about it, but they they don't say that, oh, well, this is a new game. I don't think anywhere you get that feel. But as you said with the price, I mean, I'm looking at it now on Steam, 59.99 euros. That's a standalone game. Is it a standalone game though? No, it is not. It is a DLC. A DLC that will contain DLC. I mean, I'm not sure. Are people that excited about Warhammer, the Warhammer universe, that's okay for them? I mean, I know that
they are.
I don't get it. And I know I'm being a bit of a party pooper here. I do realize it. I'm sorry for that, but the standards in the games industry, or what people are willing to pay for, just slipped down so much since 10 years ago. I mean, I'm sure people would look at this and say, wait a minute, this is the same game. You're selling us the same game for another $60, and then you expect us to pay further money for... and I'm sure there are going to be pre-order bonuses. I'm sure one of the races from Warhammer 2, or one of the new races maybe, will come as a pre-order bonus. By the way, this game is releasing on both Epic and Steam. We'll get back to the Epic fiasco, that I consider fiasco, in a bit. So I'm sure there will be that. Pre-order bonuses, DLC, culture packs, it's all going to be there. Plus you're charging us a full price for what essentially already is a DLC, already is a culture pack. I don't know why we are okay with that. They say that the price is set by the market. It is worth whatever people are willing to pay. They say that. I guess that's true.
I would add that I must say that CA is not the only one who does that.
Definitely not. No.
Looking at, the games I play, like, for example, FIFA. I don't know if you're familiar with FIFA, if you're a football fan. But
I made a video about sports
of course.
games.
You talked about EA, of course. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry. That is filthy. And that is actually targeted to kids as well. The FIFA points. I cannot play FIFA Ultimate Team because if I don't buy FIFA points, my team will be absolutely atrocious, and I don't have time to play FIFA. I don't know, 5 hours per day to grind so many FIFA coins, which is like the in-game currency, to buy good players. So if I would want to be competitive in that game, then I would have to spend additional real money, because now you don't get the game when you buy it. I feel like most of the games, when you buy them, you get like 50% of the game, or even less sometimes.
Yeah, this is something that...
It must be fair to say they're not the only one.
Oh, definitely. If just because you're not the only one, it doesn't mean that it's right. You know what I mean? But
definitely.
I'm looking at another quote by Sega, and this is your typical marketing talk. Our vision from the start was to create a series, all right? So their vision from the start was to create a series. So as I said before, they already knew that that's what they want to do. Was to create a series that felt like an incredible journey through this world we all loved. No, let's translate that to honest talk. Our vision from the start was to create 3 games so we can make more money. I mean, I understand that they cannot say that.
They're a business.
Yeah, I understand that they cannot say that, but again, I'm not trying to ruin anybody's party. If this is something you enjoy, and if this is something you absolutely love and are excited about, yeah, please feel free to do it. I mean, you're welcome to do whatever you want with your own money. It's just that I don't understand why this warrants 3 games. And I think this is a good... transition to another thing that I wanted to talk about. I said at the beginning, I also want to talk about Creative Assembly in general. And I think this is a good transition point, because we mentioned CA and their business practice a bit. We touched on that. And I just thought to myself, when I heard that Troy is going to be an exclusive, a 1-year exclusive for the Epic Store, my initial reaction was, why? I mean, first day for free, so they knew whoever wanted to play that game. Now, I didn't get it for free. I think you told me you did. I didn't.
Yes, I got it, yes.
Yeah, I thought to myself, I will wait for it to come out on Steam. I don't care. I will pay the 60 euros. Now, I understand that, you know, for most people, 60 euros, you know, that's a considerable amount of money. So I understand when somebody got it for free. I have nothing against that. But I'm wondering, why did they do that? Is it because they didn't really think that Troy was a game worth purchasing? And if you thought that, then why did you waste your time making it? This is something... Troy was a bit of a mystery for me. If we go even a little bit more back in history, so we had Three Kingdoms, which was also really a fantasy game. I mean, Troy and Three Kingdoms are very similar in a way that they're both based on stories. They're not historical Total War games. I mean, Three Kingdoms is a story, just like Troy, and so it's based on that. They're doing this semi-mythical thing where you have... I mean, it's not really magic in the same way that Warhammer has it, but it's still magic. I mean, the special abilities in, let's say, Attila or Rome 2 are, you know, brace or inspire, and it makes sense because you have these generals, and if they have a lot of experience, they can tell their men to, you know, get your shit together, fight a bit better, yeah, and the men will respect that because, well, they respect the general, so it all makes sense within the world that is historical. But then you have these semi-historical games, so Three Kingdoms and Troy, where you already have a bit of magic. And I don't really... So we spoke about this briefly yesterday when we spoke about this collaboration. I said that I don't really appreciate single entity units in historical Total War games. Now, again, I know that Three Kingdoms and Troy are both semi-historical, let's say, mythical, semi-legend. It's based on a legend, both of these, really. And I don't appreciate the single entity units because, again, you said this yesterday, in Warhammer it makes sense. There are demons, there are wizards, there are dragons. It probably makes sense that a powerful wizard would be able to, you know, destroy a unit or two of the opposing army, even there are 300-400 soldiers. Now, it doesn't make sense for a single person in Troy to be able to do that. Now, I don't remember what you told me, whether or not you played Troy, but when I tried it and I could send my general, my hero, who would pretty much stop the entire opposing army, or 3/4 of the entire opposing army, and then I could use the rest of my army to encircle whatever is left, completely destroy it, and then just get back to... And I have so much time to do that. It's not like you need to be in a hurry at all. So it just doesn't work, and it looks weird. Do you agree with me at all?
Yes, it's definitely... It's a formula that works for fantasy, but just doesn't work for historical things. And I think what they tried to do is, like, get the best from both worlds, I guess. They wanted to get people from Warhammer to feel like at home playing Troy or Three Kingdoms, but they also wanted to make it historical, so, you know, the historical fans would play it. I think they were trying to make, like, a mashup of both, so both fans would appreciate it. But what happened at the end is none of the fans appreciated it.
Exactly. No one appreciated it. It wasn't fantasy enough for the fantasy fans, and it wasn't historical enough for the history fans.
Yes, it was like they thought they're getting the best from both worlds, but they ended up just like getting the worst from both worlds.
Yeah. That's actually true. Yeah, you thought you'd get the best, but in the end you get the worst, and it just mixes. It doesn't mix together, does it? It just no.
Yeah, it feels, as you said, it feels stupid. Just because I also did the same thing. Like I sent my, I don't know, whoever was the general, I don't remember. Maybe just Achilles or someone else. Anyways, I sent him and he beats 120 units. I mean. Soldiers just by himself, and I'm like, they're like, dude, I mean, He's a human. I know he's supposed to be like this legendary fighter that like killed I don't know how many people, but I'm sure that if they would encircle him and all just jump on him, that there's just no way he would fight out of that, right? And it just doesn't feel. I mean, it just feels so. How would I say? It just distracts me, and I can't enjoy it. I wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't understand if there's a massive dragon flying around, spitting fire, and he, kills 50 people with his fireball or whatever, because, that's fantasy. It doesn't need to make sense because there's no sense because, no sense, no accuracy because, it's all made up. It's very well made up. I'm not saying it's bad, but, you're not going to be nitpicky that who can beat who. But if you're trying to get something historical out, at least make it so one person cannot kill 120 persons just because he's supposed to be this legendary warrior. And there's no tactics. You just send him into 120 people and he just beats all of them. Like, it's just what?
Yeah, exactly. Let me just really quickly get back to Warhammer 3 for a minute because I'm reading another quote from Sega. The enormous support of our players in ensuring the success of the first 2 installments has pushed our ambition to new heights, and we can't wait for everyone to experience it. And this is exactly what I'm worried about, because what really this means is we can't wait to make more money. And if this keeps, if historical Total War games, or, Troy, for this particular argument, let's just count Troy into that. If they continue being absolute rubbish, they will continue tanking money. They will continue to make less and less money, and the fantasy Total War games will continue to make more and more. So what I personally am worried about, and I hope I'm not alone, I personally am worried about that Creative Assembly will just go, completely fantasy, concentrate on fantasy as primary thing, and then have every once in a while have these sagas, and I feel like this is exactly what they're trying to do, and I feel like I'm a little bit scared that after this is done, Total War Warhammer 3, I'm a bit scared that after this is done, there will be another fantasy Total War game. And after that, we'll get, probably not straight away after that, maybe we'll get a saga title, but then the main titles will just continue to be fantasy. I'm really worried about that because I can see it makes them a hell of a lot more money. And again, I'm happy for those who can enjoy that. I really, really am. I'm not making a funny joke. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being salty. If you enjoy it, please do enjoy it. I will just go play something else. But I do miss my historical Total War games. And this quote pretty much explains exactly why I'm worried about this. Because the success of the first 2 installments has pushed our ambition to new heights. Exactly. So you made more money than you ever did before. So why the hell would you not stick to the formula? Don't fix it if it's not broke.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about predictions, my predictions for the future Total War game is that Medieval 3 shall happen just because it's going to be a massive cash grab. Because people are so nostalgic about Medieval 2 that I think we are getting at least one more big historical Total War game, which is going to be Medieval 3. Just because of the sole reason that it was so well received, the Medieval 2, and everyone wants it. I'm not saying it's gonna be good, but it's gonna sell a hell of a lot of copies. Even if it's the worst Total War game ever, it's gonna sell fresh. I don't know how is the expression, fresh, hot. I don't know, bread or whatever. However it's expression said, but basically it's gonna sell out really. After that, I think we could be looking sadly at least 75% fantasy occupied market for Total War. My prediction is actually the 40k universe, which is very, very relatable to. I mean, it's almost like a shared universe. It's not exactly the same universe, Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000, but it's like kind of similar. You have the orcs, you have the elves who are kind of Eldar, and you have the Imperium, which is kind of later the Space Marines and guardsmen and stuff like that. So my personal prediction is after Warhammer 3, I would think we will be getting either a Saga or a Medieval 3. And after that, my personal opinion is that it will go into a 40k universe, because I do not expect a Warhammer 4. I do expect a new start of a fantasy trilogy, which, from my expectations, is that Creative Assembly and Games Workshop are very happy with each other, because they're both making each other more popular. They're both making each other buy more things, so in Creative Assemblies, more games, and in Games Workshop, more of those figures. And I think the next step is probably Warhammer 40,000, because then again, it's very similar. A lot of people will be brought into it again. And I think the old people who liked the Warhammer will also enjoy the Warhammer 40,000 series, because those two communities are kind of connected, I would say. So I'm definitely expecting 1 or 2 more historical games that I think are guaranteed. But after that, if, for example, Medieval 3 crashes in ratings, it will sell definitely good. But if it crashes in ratings, they will say, you know what? I don't think we can afford to make another historical game, because people didn't like Medieval 3. Sure, we sold a lot, but we sold it because of the name, not because of the actual being a good game. So if Medieval 3 is a bad game, after that we could be looking at 75% or more only fantasy games from Total War.
Yeah, that prediction makes sense. I think I would agree with you. I don't know whether or not it's going to be Medieval 3. I just don't believe Creative Assembly wants to throw enough resources into making a Medieval 3 game. So I don't know whether it will be a full-fledged campaign, or maybe they will do a saga from the medieval time, so maybe a smaller map, fewer factions, something along the lines, and then maybe their main team can work on the next fantasy game in the meantime, as you said, Warhammer 40k, maybe. We of course, nobody knows that, but we're just speculating, and well, what can I really say about that? I mean, if that's what most people prefer, then who am I to say, no, let's get back to history. If most people enjoy that, then let them have their fun, and I can go play Medieval 2. I have a feeling like I will still play Medieval 2 when I'm 60, and I will tell my grandchildren, there was this time when Creative Assembly made historical games, and they will say, you are crazy, look at all these cool orcs and dragons and wizards, why would you ever go to Medieval 2?
We're gonna be such boomers.
Yes, exactly. By the way, what I wanted to say about Warhammer 3, and maybe most who are listening heard this already, but Warhammer 3 is going to be on both Epic and Steam, but if you have Warhammer 1 and 2 on Steam, don't buy it on Epic, because they will not be able to communicate together. And so yeah, don't do that. If you have Warhammer 1, 2, buy Warhammer 3 on Steam as well. Don't use 2 separate storefronts, because they will not be able to communicate together. We cannot guarantee this functionality at any point currently, said Epic. So yeah, don't do that.
That's kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, they are 2 storefronts that are competing with one another. Epic did a lot of work in, I think, alienating Steam from wanting to do any cooperation with them. I mean, they were... How long is it now? I mean, 3 years? Maybe they spent strong-arming the public into buying games on their platform by making them exclusives. And this is something, this is another topic altogether, but yeah, I'm not surprised at all that they aren't going to be able to communicate together, because, again, Epic did a lot of work to alienate Steam, and, I don't think Steam wants anything to do with them. And they twisted, what was his name? Tim Sweeney, the CEO of Epic. He said that the reason they do it is because Steam doesn't do... they're not fair to the developers. They take too much of their money. The cut that they take, I think it's 30%, that that's too big, and we want Steam to match our business model, and when they do, we will stop doing exclusives. No, that's a lie, Tim.
I mean,
Sweeney.
I understand the point of view from Epic Games, but I don't understand the point of view from Creative Assembly. Like, you could look at it like you have two children who are like arguing with each other, and you're not, how would I say, you're kind of making that worse. Isn't it making it worse? Because like, the Troy was only released on Epic Games, right? But then Warhammer 3, you will have to get it on Steam if you want to have it compatible with the prior two games. Isn't that just like, I mean, first you give something to the first one, and then you get something to the second one, and it's like, I mean, make up your mind who you kind of want to be, who you want to honor with your games, I guess. I mean, of course, I don't want to say make it exclusive for only one, but from CA's points of perspective, that's like kind of messed up also for the consumer, because they're like, oh, I have to get this from there, and then I can only get this from Epic Games, and then but Warhammer 3 Steam because it's compatible. It's like, it's just, I don't know. I don't like that like business.
No, I absolutely agree. I absolutely despise this business model. Now, I think that with Troy, they made it Epic exclusive. I think it's a year-long exclusive. It will come to Steam eventually, but I think they just did that because they dumped it on Epic. Maybe they wanted to try it, how it goes, and I think that's why they did it. But when it comes to the rest, I don't think they can afford to. When it comes to PR, I don't think they can afford to just say Warhammer 3 will be exclusive to Epic. Now, for me, release everything everywhere so people can play it on the platform of their choosing. Stop making games exclusive to particular platforms. Stop making content exclusive to particular platforms. That's annoying. But again, I mean, it's all about, it's all about that profits, and I get that. But Ubisoft does this a lot, well, you get this mission if you buy Coca-Cola, you get this mission if you buy it on this storefront, and you get this extra costume if you buy it on Uplay. With Uplay, by the way, I had a problem with Uplay recently. It is such a ridiculous platform. Get rid of it, Ubisoft. So, yeah, I really don't like it when publishers carve up their games and give you a piece there, a piece there. If you want the whole thing, maybe you should buy the game 5 times, and then you will get the whole experience. This is what I wanted to mention earlier when we spoke about DLC. That you get an exclusive here, an exclusive there, and then you need to buy more DLC. Jim Sterling, I don't know if you know Jim Sterling, he talks about this a lot, because people keep having this argument that, well, games are, they're still $60, and inflation, which always, it's just, yes, technically speaking, yes, inflation, but a AAA game is not $60 anymore. $60, and I completely agree. I will parrot Jim Sterling here, but I completely agree with what he says. $60 is an entry price. That's what it no longer gives you the full game. It no longer gives you the full experience. Now, $60 is an entry price, and then you maybe have to spend another $20, $30 to purchase all the content, and then they will carve that content up and sell it on different platforms, and it's a complete and utter mess. And I think the games industry is not starting, they started a long time ago, but they're doing the same mistake that the music industry was doing for a very long time, and that the movie industry was doing for a very long time, and that the streaming industry, services such as Netflix and HBO, they are starting to do the same mistake as well, when they are starting to make piracy look more attractive again than just buying the game. Because if I will pirate the game, I will have everything in one place, and I don't need to worry about any of it. I don't need to worry about Ubisoft servers going down, because of course, when playing a Ubisoft game, you need to be connected to their servers. If their server doesn't work, then you're out of luck. You cannot play a game you just paid $60 for. So they're making the same mistake, and I think Creative Assembly is adding to that by carving up their content. Why would I? Again, piracy is starting to look more and more attractive, and that's just, you can sit here and tell me about how wrong it is to pirate a game. I don't care. people, they care about that. I think, who was that? Yeah, it was Gabe Newell who said that the way to beat piracy is to make buying the game better than pirate it. And he's completely right. And it doesn't only apply to games, it applies to so many things like music and movies and TV shows. Just stop carving up your games, because the only thing that will lead to is people getting tired and start pirating your games again. And then again, Ubisoft will start complaining about piracy, but you are feeding to the problem. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a rant about about carving up games, but I really don't like it. Release your game on all platforms so people can play it.
Also, release the game as it's supposed to be released, because in these days, people release, I mean, companies release games with so many glitches and so many mistakes in them. Because they just say, okay, well, we'll fix it next week. Like 15 years ago, I don't know, let's say 15 years ago was about the time when Call of Duty 2, for example, was released. They released it, and if they made a mistake, it's staying in there because there was no updates. There was no way of fixing the game after it's been already, sent out and delivered. So I think this is like actually making it much worse, because companies are just falling back to that idea of, oh, well, we can fix it later. Oh, it's fine if it's like a 50% game. If it has like so many bugs and mistakes, and oh, just fix it. I think that's actually so bad. And again, makes people kind of want to go put to piracy, which is a problem for the companies. But as you also said, they're not doing anything to make it better, except for like, trying to secure games. But of course, in some time, everyone will be able to just get over those security things and will be able to play the game pirated if they will want to. But as you said, try to make it so people want to buy your game, so they actually feel, you know what, these guys made a good job, they did well, and I don't have to get through 120 websites to get this video game. I can have it all in one place, and it's easy to get, things like that. Then piracy won't be as tempting, and they will actually, save money for themselves as well, because if they're making people want to pirate games, they're basically shooting themselves in the knees, right? So I
Exactly.
think I
Yeah, no,
definitely
completely. Again, Gabe Newell said this so right, because I don't know if you remember, but video game piracy, regardless of what Ubisoft says, it's not a problem. It really, really isn't. No, I don't know a single person who pirates games, and I know many people who play games. I don't know a single person who does that. But it used to be the other way around. I used to not know a single person who actually buys games, so it used to be a big problem. But then when Valve came up with Steam and just made it so incredibly not only convenient but attractive to buy games, because then you had it all in a nice library and with a nice interface, and it was really easy. You didn't have to risk downloading viruses. You didn't have to, and malware on your computer. You didn't have to risk running into troubleshooting issues. You didn't have to do any of that. You just bought the game and it worked, and it's perfect. And now, of course, it's getting back to where piracy actually gives you a better product, because you buy a game from Ubisoft for $60. First of all, you're not getting the whole game. Second of all, you keep running into these server problems. Again, I had this problem with Ubisoft because I have Assassin's Creed 2 on Steam, but the code was actually tied, so the Steam code was actually tied to a different Uplay account that I have no access to. So I contacted their support center, and they told me after 40 minutes, they told me they can't resolve the issue because I am in a different region. Okay, my response was, tell Yves Guillemot I am pirating the game. And I downloaded Assassin's Creed 2. I torrented Assassin's Creed 2. There you go. I don't care. If you can't make your games that I bought work, I will pirate your games. We went on a huge tangent about piracy and about convenience and Epic Store game. I would like to just quickly mention also, because I mentioned it quickly already, which that there are going to be new races, but I didn't really mention which ones. So Kislev, of course, again, it's been all over the internet. Kislev, and Cathay are going to be the races making the debut. And then there are going to be factions of Chaos that are going to be present against you. Again, you can run up against them, and again, you can actually invade their land. So these are Khorne, Nurgle, Slanesh, and Tsench, if that's how you pronounce it. So these are going to be the 4 Chaos factions, so that's exciting for whomever knows what the hell Chaos faction is. I don't, so I'm not that excited, but if you are, and if you're looking forward to it, there you go, you'll have more factions to play with, and I'm sure they'll release even more with as DLC, as we already mentioned. So there you go, if you're excited for that, good for you. Late 2021, it's coming out. I already asked, but I'll ask again. Are you excited?
More than I was expecting to be, which is I'm not, oh my god, Warhammer 3 is coming out, but it's like, okay, you know what? I'm actually interested in the game. I will first wait to see how it's received, wait how it works. I will also need to check if it will work on my computer. But at the end of the day, I feel like if you would ask me 1 year ago, I was like, Warhammer 3, oh, please, no, please give me some historical stuff. But right now I'm feeling, okay, you know what? I'm not a big fantasy fan, but I am interested in it, which means,
You see, but this is how they get you. This is how they get you. They force you to first think, well, I don't want this, but then you're like, okay, everybody's playing it, and there's really no alternative. Maybe I should try it, and you get a little bit excited, and you get a little bit more excited, and then this is how they get you. This is how they get you.
Yeah, I'm turning to the dark side of Total War.
Yes.
Like Legend did. I remember back in the day, Legend was like, oh no, I don't like fantasy Total War. I'm just gonna play Medieval 2 until I die. And then he discovered Warhammer 2, and now he's playing only that, which I respect, and it's the right business call as well, because he gets views for that.
Yeah, of course.
There's no shame in that, but yeah, I think he was. I might be actually going through the same transition as him, because while Medieval 2 is a fantastic game, I played it now so much. I have in the last 2 years, I have 1,200 hours played on it, which is way too much, to be honest. But I'm now kind of going through the cycle of, you know what, Medieval 2, damn, you're a good game, but I've played so much of you, I do need something else. And it's kind of the right time for CA to get me on the Warhammer bandwagon. And I must say that I am a fan of Warhammer 40k. I don't like Warhammer normal, but Warhammer 40k, if they bring out Warhammer 40k Total War, well, I'm jumping that bandwagon as soon as it starts, because I would be really excited about that one, to be honest.
I think they will screw it up. If they decide to make optimistic as ever, if they decide to make Medieval 3, I think they will screw it up, because at this point the hype for Medieval 3 is so huge that I don't think it. I think it doesn't matter what they do with the game; it will not be enough.
And, yeah, definitely. I think Medieval 3 will be a disappointment no matter what they do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm a bit worried about that. And another reason I'm also worried about, if they are so concentrated on these fantasy games, and it looks like they will continue, from what they say at least, it looks like they will continue to be concentrated on fantasy games. I don't want them to make Medieval 3 just for the sake of making Medieval 3. I want them to make that their priority if they do decide to make it, and I just don't think Creative Assembly will be able to do that. So for me, I would probably actually prefer if Medieval 3 just stays a dream. We can play Medieval Kingdoms 12 mod for Attila. That's pretty good. I mean, it's not great.
That's one of the better things, yeah.
Yeah, it's not great, but it works, it's competent, so we can do that. And I think it actually does a better job than Creative Assembly would do, so maybe we can just all play that. So, yeah, I don't know.
To be honest, it might be better because people will want to feel nostalgia when they play Medieval 3, right? Because you'll be, oh my god, Medieval 2, you know, back in my days, we were playing Medieval 2, it was so fun. And then they're gonna get Medieval 3, and even if it's the best Total War game ever produced, they will feel like they won't feel the same as they did. Because nostalgia is, you know, it's a very interesting thing.
Nostalgia is a
really
game
curious
killer.
about.
It definitely is. So
I think it's a game seller, but also game killer, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
That's
definitely.
why they will say, okay, Medieval 3, I'm gonna buy it because I'm gonna feel the same way when I was 12 years old or 14 years old, and I was in my, you know, teen years with nothing to worry about, and I'll play Medieval 3 and it'll be the same. So they will buy it, but then they will go and play it and be like, well, I'm still having to pay all those bills. I'll still have to go to a job that I don't like. Well, this game is not bad, but oh man, I don't feel what I was expecting to feel while playing.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, that's a problem with many games, actually. I think that whatever gets, well, not remastered, but whatever gets maybe a sequel after a very long time, you know, people expect it to give them the same feeling as it did when they were 10. And of course, it doesn't. I speak about this actually in my Let's Talk About Sports Games videos because I'm trying to figure out... The video is a narrative where I'm trying to figure out why in the world I'm not enjoying FIFA anymore. And, you know, I try to go through the usual arguments that, oh, well, it's full of microtransactions and it's, you know, it's the same every year and it's this, But then I counter those arguments. You know, I argue against myself, really, and I realize that they were always the same. I mean, FIFA 06 and FIFA 07 are the same game. It was always like that. The reason I don't enjoy them anymore is because they're not made for me anymore. The target audience is someone completely different. I am 27 now. I'm not the target audience for FIFA. The reason I used to enjoy it and I don't anymore is because those games are just not made for me. And I'm starting to feel like Total War is going down the same route, that they're just no longer made for me. And one of the biggest reasons I think why Total War Warhammer didn't really catch my attention is because if you look at the historical ones, there's so much more depth when it comes to the campaign. Now, battles, I think, are either on par or even better, but when it comes to the campaign, it is shallow in comparison with the historic Total War games. Now, I like to build an empire. Every single building in every single town, I want to see it grow. I want to see my armies grow, and I want to read a historical description about that particular unit or about that particular technology or building. I want to really experience that history. However, with Total War moving away from that, I'm feeling like the same thing is happening to Total War. It's just no longer made for me, which is fine. I don't expect, video game publishers to think, oh, I wonder what JustShortOfXP thinks about this. I don't expect them to do that, so it's fine. It's fine. So whatever people want to play, if you enjoy it, play that.
Yeah, I think that idea is everywhere because I don't know. Do you know Star Wars?
Yeah, of course.
Now, my experience with Star Wars, I was born in 1999, so I grew up watching the original 6 movies, right? The original 3 and the prequels. I enjoy all of those movies, maybe with the exception of what's it called, The Phantom's Menace. That one is a bit like so-so, but nevertheless, though I thoroughly enjoy those 6 movies. For example, my father, who, of course is one generation older, enjoys the original trilogy, but doesn't like the prequels. And then when we're talking about sequels, either I or he like the sequels. But for example, my cousin, who is like 12, he likes them. Like it's as you said, it's target audience, and also something that you grow up with, or you kind of, it's again kind of nostalgia, I guess, going back to it. So I think that's not only in games, it's basically all around every media, everything everything you enjoy, toys, video games, movies, music. It's always like that you will enjoy something that you grew up with.
Definitely, I definitely agree. Whoever is still listening to us rambling on and on, the conclusion of this video is we are all getting old and we will die soon.
That's a good depressing way to end the video.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy that you sticked to the very end, and I hope I made your mood better.
Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out JustShortOfXP. His link to his channel will be down in the description and probably in the comments as well. I really thoroughly enjoyed this session we had, rambling about Total War and nostalgia and how we're all going to die at some point. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I hope it was... I really enjoyed it, so hopefully it was enjoyable for you too. And for you viewers down there, make sure to comment what you think about the things we talked about. You can like, subscribe, you can share the video if you don't like it, just give me a dislike and tell me what's wrong. And yeah, you can join me in Discord, you can join me on Facebook, and as always, till next time.